Hello and welcome. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and today we're going to work on learning the B section of Beethoven's Für Elise. Just so you are aware, this is Beethoven's full original version of Für Elise, which, as far as difficulty goes, is a level 6, which is for intermediate pianists with a fair amount of experience. If you're looking for something easier, check out my preparatory or level 1 tutorials. Also, if you haven't learned the A section yet, which you could call the Für Elise main theme, please find my level 4 tutorial, and that will teach you the A section. Okay, let's get started with learning the B section of Beethoven's Für Elise. First, let's talk for a moment about the form of Für Elise. The form of a piece is its overall structure, usually represented by letters. For example, the form of a hamburger, using musical terminology, would be A, B, A. A for the bun on top, B for the patty, then another A for the bun on bottom. The form of Für Elise is A, B, A, C, A. The first A section represents the main theme. The A section is what we learned in my other tutorial on the Für Elise main theme. All by itself, the A section sounds kind of like a complete piece of music, but it's not. In Für Elise, Beethoven tells a long, interesting musical story with unexpected twists and turns. The A section to me sounds wistful and a bit sad, like a memory of someone you miss. But now let's listen to what happens when we get to the end of the A section. Get ready for what we call the transition to the B section. Here's the transition. What kind of emotion does this section communicate to you? To me, it sounds like someone who is reliving a memory of a very happy time. Perhaps they spent it with someone they love. Then with these fast notes, maybe they start to playfully chase each other around. Everything is joyful and fun. But then the happy memory starts to fade, and now the sadness is returning, and we return to the A section. It's like someone who is trying to hold on to a happy memory, but they just couldn't keep the sadness away. This A section is the same as before, except this time without the repeat signs, making it shorter. And then things take another unexpected turn when we come to the C section. How would you describe the emotion of this section? What kind of story does it create in your imagination? For me, this section sounds like a storm on a dark, tragic night. Maybe the person you love is sick, or maybe they unexpectedly had to move away and you'll never see them again. Then do you think it gets a little hopeful here, perhaps? And then one final surprise to transition back to the A section. What do you think is happening now? Well, now you can hear that we're back in the final A section, where we'll leave it for now. Let's take a look at the rhythms of the B section, which starts here with the second ending in measure 25. Now, if you haven't already, please download and print out your own copy so you can write in the beats, which we're going to do together now. Remember that we are in 3/8 time signature, which means our 8th notes get 1 beat, and these 16th notes share a beat, 2 16th notes per beat. So this would be 1 and 2. Here's a 16th rest, so that gets half of beat 2, landing this 16th note on the and of beat 2, and then 3 and. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and. And then down here, a quarter note gets how many beats in 3/8 time? With an 8 on the bottom, the quarter note gets 2 beats. So we have 1 and 2 and. You can see that the left hand is kind of keeping the steady pulse for us. With these 16th notes, we keep this 1 and 2 and pattern. So here we have 3 and then this 32nd note, see that extra beam there? It makes it a 32nd note, which actually puts it right in between the and of beat 3 and beat 1. We could call that an 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1. And that's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1. Now let's go a little further. So 8th note gets 1 beat, the 1 and, 8th note, 1 beat, and then here's another 3 and a 1. 3 and a, that 32nd note goes on the 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, I'd like you to press pause and see if you can fill in the beats for the entire, no, not the entire B section. I want you to go through the end of measure 32, and let's stop there. Okay, write in the beats just like I've been doing. If you're not sure, just follow along the left hand. Make sure you're writing it in exact alignment with the note it corresponds to. So use the left hand as your guide, because that's kind of your steady pulse down there. Write in the counts and do that. Press pause to do that, then press play, and we'll try it together. Okay, why don't you check and make sure this is what your music looks like. Of course, if it's not green, that's okay. Whatever color you chose is fine. Now what I'd like you to do is try tapping the rhythm of the right hand while I play it, and we'll both count the beat out loud together. When you see these little grace notes, you're going to ignore those with your tapping right now, because when we play them, you'll kind of roll through those so fast, it's not really possible to tap them. So here, these small notes there, that small note there, those can be called grace notes or ornaments. And again, don't try to tap those, just tap the big normal size notes while we count the beat out loud. Okay, so we're going to start right here on beat 1. Ready, count with me and tap, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 a 1. And then when we get here, you'll notice because we have 3 beams, we are now 32nd notes. 4 of those can fit in 1 8th note beat. So now we're going quite fast. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Notice here we switch back to 16th notes. So to hold this correctly, notice this is a dotted 8th note. So that holds 1.5 beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and looks kind of confusing, but we're just going back and forth between the 2 hands. And 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Like this. I'll start right here. Actually, I'll start here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. The rhythms in this section are tricky, so it's important you take the time to really understand how the beats correlate to the rhythms. Go ahead and take some time to write in these beats on your music at home, and then press play to go on. Sometimes when I'm learning something, I like to tackle the hardest section first, and then the rest feels easy after that. So let's actually start at measure 33, where we get these fast 30-second notes, and try and get this under our belt first. Now, looking at the notes, you'll notice that there's a pattern. Every other note is this G. We have C, G, 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 and then the notes step up. Alternating, we have this stepping up pattern alternating with these G's up high. Of course, we're going to do that all with the right hand like this. So we start with finger 2, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, then 2, 5, and then we'll stop here. first beat of the next measure, you'll see is a finger 1 on E. And that it's important to shift that finger 1 up there so we can be ready for those notes that are coming next. Okay? Now, watch that one more time. 2, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. Press pause and start right there with finger 2 on C. And stop there with finger 1 on E. Press pause to try that several times on your own, then press play to go on. Okay, once you make it there, finger 1 is on E, and then we're going to play this C major first inversion chord with fingers 1, 2, 5, then we step down, step down, step down, step down. Finger 3 has to cross over, and then G, F, D, and then we'll stop on the first note of the next measure. So again, finger 1 is on E, and we have. Okay, now press pause and work on that measure on your own several times until you're confident, then press play to go on. Now let's put those two measures together. You get. Now it's very important that you use the correct fingering as you play this. One other tip I want to show you is that as you're playing these notes that go back and forth with G, you want to kind of think of what's called a rotation motion. Imagine that you're turning the knob of a door almost. It's a subtle motion, but as you play these notes, there's going to be this sense of this back and forth, this gentle rocking or turning of the hand. And that will give you some momentum to play that finger 5. Okay, press pause and work on that section on your own. You don't have to worry about playing it that fast. Just take your time to get the notes correct and then press play to go on. All right, now let's look at the next two measures. Tell me what you notice about measures 35 and 36. You should have noticed that they're the same notes. And then when we get here, first note of measure 37, you'll notice it steps up to an E this time with finger 3, and here we get something new. So let's check it out. We have E, step up, step down to D sharp, skip down a fourth. Now in tempo we have, they're still 30-second notes, so they're going quite fast still. 1 and 2. And you'll notice there we switch to 16th notes. So now it's not nearly as fast. So you have to think 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. And notice how the hands are going back and forth there to kind of create this delicate sound as we go back to the A section. Okay, so now press pause and work on measures 37 to 41 as we go back into the A section. And remember to get these rhythms right. You have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Okay, so make sure you're hearing the difference between those 32nd notes and the 8th notes. Press pause to work on that section on your own, then press play to go on. Okay, now let's put this whole section together. Starting from measure 33, we get and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. And now the left hand helps. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3. And we're back to the A section. Okay? Now, if you like, you can press pause to work on that section on your own some more. Or if you're ready to go on, let's tackle this beginning of the B section. And let's actually back up to the end of this first A section. If you start in measure 21, and let's pretend we've already played through this once, so we'll take the second ending. Here at measure 21 we have. So you notice right there in the second ending, we transition. These three chords kind of get us ready for the start of the B section. It's called a transition. A transition is a short section that brings you between two main sections. So here's our transition. Then we're in the B section. Okay, let's take a look at this right-hand part. So starting with our transition, we've got these three chords, which are marked staccato, and they have a slur. So it means you're going to play those staccatos, don't overdo it. Give it some phrasing and make it kind of a juicy staccato. Okay, try those three chords. Now you try. Good. Then after that, we play this F major triad. You'll see these two small notes. Those are called grace notes when they're small like that. And you just kind of glide through them fairly quickly. Fingers 1, 2, 4. And then see that 4-1? That means you're going to substitute finger 1. You're going to hold the note down, and while you're still holding it, switch out finger 1, and that will allow you to reach up to the next part of the phrase. So watch that again. You go. Now I'm on finger 4, I'm going to substitute finger 1, and in rhythm we have 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and. Okay, now press pause. I'd like you to go back, play this transition, and work on that first phrase of the B section. Then press play to go on. Good, so you should have just played 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and. Now let's go on to the next phrase. Our finger 4 comes up to this B flat, 3 and a. Now you'll notice the fingering that I'm doing. Let's actually back up to this phrase. So I didn't mention this a second ago. We have 4, 3, 2. It's a repeated note. Why would I want you to change fingers there? Well, the answer is when you have two repeated notes that come in very quick succession like this, it adds tension to your wrist and hand to use the same finger twice in a row. It's a more gentle sound if you'll change fingers. It's a little bit more graceful, and it's usually better posture. You'll have to use less energy to make that happen. Okay, so I highly suggest that fingering. 4, 3, 2, 3, 2. So you know how I do that? It's the same note, but two different fingers. 4, 3, 2, 1. Then same thing here. 4, 3, 2. Then crossover 3, crossover 3. So watch that again. 4, 3, 2, 3. Okay, so will you go back and practice this phrase with this fingering? 4, 3, 2, 1. Then 4, 3, 2, 3, 3. These fingerings are so important to developing a good technique. Please follow the fingerings and try those two phrases out on your own, then press play to go on. So you just played. Then finger 3 comes to B flat. Here's another grace note. So it'll be played quickly. And then those 30-second notes, make sure you make those steady. 3 and 1 and 2. Another finger substitution. See that 4-1? 4 comes to 1 while you hold the note down. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Let's stop there. Okay, so going back, let's do this again. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Okay, practice that section on your own, then press play to go on. Good, now after you make it to that C, here's another ornament. An ornament are some notes that are played kind of decoratively or quickly. And you see that this is called a turn, where we have these notes that go in that pattern of step down, step up. And that steps up one more time to D. So we have 1 and 2 and 3. It's quite quick. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3. Now if that's too fast, you can go 1 and just play them like 30-second notes. Okay? Or if you want to tackle it, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then that goes into the section we've already learned. Okay, now, I'd like you to press pause and work on this measure on your own. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1. And then you can just start the beginning of that measure. Press pause to work on that, and then press play to go on. Good, now let's review the entire right-hand part for the B section once. Okay, let's go at a slower than normal speed. If you'd like to challenge yourself to play along with me, you can, or you can just listen this time. Here we go. I'll count 1 and 2, and then we'll start on the and of beat 2 with this transition. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. All right. Now, if you'd like some extra work on that right-hand part, you can press pause on your own and work on that. Otherwise, let's go on and tackle the left-hand part. So starting in the second ending of measure 25, our left hand just played this A, E, A. Then we come up here to our transition. See those 3 chords? We've got this B flat C. Now you try. Good. One more time. Now you try. Okay, now pause if you need extra work on that. Otherwise, let's go on to measure 26. Now you'll notice this kind of Alberti bass-like pattern. We have this 5, 3, 1. We're just outlining. What chord do you see there? Yeah, that's the F major chord in root position. So we just have this broken chord pattern. Now you try. Good. Now if you look at measure 27, what chord do you see there? We've got an F, a B flat, and a D now. Why, that's our 4 chord. It's a B flat major chord in inversion. So we just took the F and put it on the bottom. That's our 4 chord. Okay, now you try. Good, so putting that together for measure 26, we get 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Make sure you play this very delicately. It's piano. 3, 1, 2, 3. Now in measure 28, we get something a little more interesting. We get F all the way up to E, and then this interesting chord, F, G, and B flat, right? It's kind of creating this diminished 7 sound with this F as a pedal tone. Okay, now you try that measure. Good, and then it goes on, back to the 1 chord, then the 1 chord again. Okay, now, right there, to get you ready for the next note, you might want to switch to a finger 2 there on that last A, because now our finger 5 is going to come down to E. So now we're playing this A minor chord in second inversion. Then we go to this octave. Now, if your hand can't reach an octave yet, then just play the bottom note, okay? But if you can reach it, you've got that octave, then going to the 4 on F. Okay, so let's look at that measure again. 1, 2, 3. Now, press pause and work on that measure on your own until you feel comfortable with it. It's a little tricky, so you want to really feel good about it. Press pause to practice and then press play to go on. So after you do the octave, then this F, then it steps up to this G, and all the way up to E, G, E. Notice how I was using a finger 3, but then to make it more comfortable, I switched to a finger 5. So G, E, G, E, G. And then you'll notice this one steps up 1 even higher to F, G, E, G, E, G, F. And then, whoa, we switch to treble clef. So it looks like those notes go way down, but they don't, because now we're in treble clef, so you'll see, it just places us right here. And that's because the notes are going up so high now, we're really more in treble clef land. Okay, so right here, we come up to that F, and then we just land on that C and E now in the treble clef. Okay, so on your own, I'd like you to press pause and practice this measure, measure 32, and then land there. Press pause to try that, then press play to go on. Good, and then once you get there, we're in this section, which we'll look at in a second. But first, let's review the entire first half of the B section left hand. Okay, if you'd like, you can try playing along with me, or if you'd like to just listen, that might be best on your first time through. So here in the second ending, we have 1 and 2, and then here's the transition. Okay, so I'll just count 1 and 2. You get your hand ready right here if you're trying to play along. If you're just listening, you can watch. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, now on your own, press pause and work on that entire section, left hand alone, then press play to go on. Now, let's check out measure 33 to the end of the B section. We have this C and E, then we shift up here for these 3 chords. Similar to what we did in that transition, right? But now we're up here, kind of we're in the key of C major temporarily here. So we have 1, 2, 1, 3, and then this 1, 2, 4. Bum, 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 bum. That leads right into a C major chord. Now you try. Of course, at first, don't expect that you're going to play it as fast as me. You know, slow it down, figure out each chord one at a time. Now you try. Good. Then you'll notice we shift back to bass clef. So now we've got to come down here to bass clef land for this F-A going to G-B. Now, if you use this fingering, you can make that very legato. F-A to G-B, and then we go back to treble clef, middle C. So it looks like a big jump, but it's not. Okay, now you try. Good. Then after that, we come back up, do these same chords again. Now you try. Good. Then we shift back to the bass clef for same notes again, F and A, G and B, but this time it changes to a G sharp B. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so let's watch this whole section once. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and press pause and work on that part, left hand alone, until you feel confident, then press play to go on. Now, you've learned this whole section, right hand alone and left hand alone. So now let's talk about the style of this section and how you're going to practice this. This section, unlike the A section, I don't want you to use pedal. The reason for that is the style of this section is more classical in nature and not so romantic. And in a classical style, there's usually very little pedal or none at all. And that keeps the notes sounding clear and clean. Hear that nice clean sound? With pedal we get sounds washy, not very clear. This needs to sound delicate and clear. So no pedal in the B section, please. Also, I want you to really work hard to make the left hand very soft, almost pianissimo. The right hand should be louder, quite a bit louder than the left because it's the melody. Notice how clumsy it sounds if the left hand is too loud. That's not the sound that we want at all. It needs to have a delicate, beautiful sound. Good. Another thing I really want you to work on in this section is phrase endings. When you see one of these curved lines come to an end, that's the last note of a phrase. And especially when it's stepping down, that's a perfect time to do a big decrescendo and float your wrist up. Like, look at this first phrase. See, the first note's a little bit louder, and then the second one gets much softer as you float your wrist up. And same thing here. See how we have the end of a phrase, so we're gonna get quite soft on that last note. Now this one's stepping up, so I might not get softer. Here I might actually crescendo a little bit. Notice we have a crescendo mark in the music. 1, 2, 3, 1. And then diminuendo again. Using rotation in the wrist. Avoid the temptation to play this section loudly, okay? That ruins the feel. Even this section, fast does not mean loud. Sometimes students want to play this part really loud because it's so fast and fun, but it's piano and fast. Now crescendo, when you go up to that high note, you can do a little crescendo, but then it's going to decrescendo back down. Kind of lean into that high note and then bring it back down. Then you're back to the A section. Let's hear the entire B section once. Great job learning how to play the B section of Beethoven's Für Elise. Work hard on mastering this. Right hand alone, then left hand alone, then hands together. And then you'll be ready to tackle section C next time. Happy practicing, and see you next time.
Elise.